Okay, today we're talking about circumference, learning about that. Notice it starts off like C-I-R-C, like circle. UMF. E-R-E-N-C-E, circumference. Let's first go down here and we'll identify the parts of a circle, or some terms of a circle. Our first word is radius. And radius would be from the center to the outside of the circle. Okay, and I'll put a small r right there. That's our radius. The next word is diameter. That's D-I-A, meter. Now, diameter is going from one end of the circle through the center to the other side. That's diameter. I'm just going to put a capital D, make a little loop right there. Okay, our next term is chord. Now, chord is going from one end of the circle to the other end, but not going through the center. All right, and that's chord. I'm just going to turn mine and say chord. Okay, the last one would be pi. Pi. Some people like to put E in there, but then we're talking about the dessert, pi. This is the Greek symbol. And that's the symbol like that. And there's two values that we use a lot of times in 7th grade math anyways. So the two values that we use are what I call the exact value and the approximate value. The exact and approximate. So if we're to use the exact value, or 1 in our calculators, excuse me for a minute, we would just go ahead and use 3.14. And that's usually about as exact as we want to get. Now, for approximately, we would just use 3. It makes our life a lot easier. Okay, now, so the formula for circumference, remember, circumference is going all the way around. It's another word it's a fancy word for perimeter. All right, and we have to use the symbol pi. And I like to use this formula. Pi times diameter. Pi times diameter. Now there is another way of doing this. And the other way of writing this is simply to say 2 pi r. You'll see this many times in textbooks. And all they're doing is doubling the radius, because diameter is just twice the radius. And since we like to put numbers in front of any symbols, any variables, they put the number 2 in front. So it's, instead of saying pi 2r, it's 2 pi r. So either one of these is fine to use. I prefer to use this one right here because it's just one formula I can always use, and it's easy to remember. Pi diameter, that's circumference. Pi diameter. And remember, circumference is going all the way around the circle. Okay, let's take a look at a couple examples down below. So, first of all, let's write the formula. Circumference is pi times diameter. Remember, this is the diameter right here. Okay, so I put the value of 5 meters here for the diameter. 5 meters. Now pi, this time we're going to do it exact. So if I was to use exact, pi would have to be 3.14. That's the value I would use for pi. Diameter, well, that's all the way across. That's 5 meters. Now you can either calculate this manually or use a calculator. I'm just going to use a calculator quickly. So by doing that, if I enter 3.14 times 5 equals, I get 15.7. Okay, so I'll put that down there. That's my answer. Okay, and my units are meters, because I want to know how far it is going around this circle. It's 15.7 meters because this is in meters. I'm not looking for squares inside. I just want to know how far it is going around. That's circumference. Okay, the next one says approximately. So if I was to use approximately, instead of 3.14 for pi, I would just use 3. So I had 3 times 5. Well, that's easy. That's 15. 15 meters. Okay, notice how close it came. 15 versus 15.7. That's very close, isn't it? That's approximately. So many times it's very, on tests or assessments, a lot of times it's, unless they tell you specifically, it's a lot easier just to use the number 3. Okay, our second example, we have 4 meters. Now this is not the diameter though. This is the radius. Okay, so our formula, remember, at least the one that I like to use, I like to use pi times diameter. Pi times diameter. Okay, well look, I only know the radius. Well, isn't the diameter going all the way across? Okay, so all the way across would be 8 meters. So I will now just go ahead and calculate using 8 meters. Now we don't have to know the other formula, just this formula. So let's see, for exact, pi is going to be 3.14. And diameter, all the way across, is 8 meters. Now I'll calculate that. You can do it manually. I prefer the calculator. I just thought of something. Instead of doing that first, let me just go ahead and approximate it now. So if I use 3 for pi, and the diameter is 8, that's 24. So it should be about 24, approximately. So now let me go ahead and calculate, and it should be close. That way if I'm way off, I know I made a mistake. So 3.14 times 8. And I get 25.12. Hey, that's pretty close. 25.12. And that was meters, the units. So what is that all telling us? That's telling us how far it is going around the circle. Going around the circle, it's about 24. It's actually 25.12 meters going around. Okay, so I'll take a look here. You got this primitive person or monkey or ape man, whatever, eating some cereal. And it says, have you seen this link? And it says missing. says breakfast 3.5 million years ago. Missing link. Missing link? Okay.